We're really honored to have with us for the first exclusive interview on Egyptian television and on Nile TV International as he assumed his post, His Excellency Ambassador M.K. Pathmanaathan, the Ambassador of Sri Lanka to Egypt. Mr. Ambassador, congratulations on this important mission to our beloved country. And we welcome you for the first exclusive interview on Egyptian television and on Nile TV International. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you very much, Sagreet, for inviting me and giving me this opportunity. We are celebrating our 73rd National Day of Sri Lanka tomorrow. So this is an opportune time for us to talk to you, through you, to the Egyptian and the large audience. Thank you.
Thank you, Ambassador, and congratulations on the 73rd National Day. And since we are talking on the occasion of the National Day, and congratulations to all the Sri Lankan community also in Egypt and around the world celebrating. How is it usually celebrated, Ambassador, the National Day in Sri Lanka?
The National Day of Sri Lanka is a special event in Sri Lanka. All the communities living in Sri Lanka join the government programs, and they themselves organize events to celebrate the country's independence. And not only the Sri Lankans living inside the country and the Sri Lankans living abroad also make this an opportunity to get together and also celebrate, cherish the country's independence and also the unity of the people.
Yes, we have great relations that binds both countries. Sri Lanka, the heart of the Indian Ocean, and Egypt, one of the oldest civilizations in the world. I guess our relations are really historic relations that bind Egypt and Sri Lanka. If we would have like a flashback of those historic relations binding both nations, what would you tell us today, Ambassador?
Well, the historic relations, both countries have the great civilizations. And the Nile River civilization, something that every Sri Lankan study during their school days, because this is one of the greatest civilization of the world. And so everyone knows about the civilization and the rich culture of the Egypt. And same with Sri Lanka, we have a recorded history of 2,500 years in Sri Lanka. And when it comes to the relations, so Sri Lanka being an island nation, there have been many visitors, and including from the Arab world. So we have the memories and the records of Ptolemy, the Greco-Egyptian geographer who has drawn the first map of Sri Lanka in the 2nd century. So that much importance there had been there. So that has been growing ever. After that, we have recorded records in our history. In the 13th century, the King Buenokabavu I of Sri Lanka has sent envoys to the Sultan of Egypt, and they have visited by sea and then traveled through the land, through Syria, and reached here. And the King of Sri Lanka and the Sultan of Egypt have signed a trade agreement. So the trade links have been there from the very ancient time.
Yes.
And in the recent, not very recent, but during 1883, the Egyptian freedom fighter Orabi Pasa was deported to Sri Lanka, then Ceylon, by the British rulers. So he was received by the Sri Lankan people, and he lived there till 1901. And during the period, he mingled with the Sri Lankan people, and he has been pioneer in building some of the schools. The Zahira College of Sri Lanka, that was a school, important educational institution even today.
Yeah.
So he was pioneer in building and establishing that school. And after that, we find at the level of the political leaders. After 1978, Sri Lanka gained the independence, and then in 1952, Egypt, after the revolution, the president then president had a very close relationship. So President Nazar and the Prime Minister of Sri Lanka in 1956 had a very close relations. And in the 1956, when Egypt nationalized the Suez Canal, Sri Lanka stood behind Egypt and supported the move in the United Nations Assembly. And following that, the President Nasser decided to open the first African mission in Sri Lanka, and then Sri Lanka reciprocated and we opened the mission in the next year. So Sri Lanka and Egypt have been very closely working in the political and the international political affairs.
Definitely. Definitely, Ambassador. They've been working closely, and our cooperation is worth of respect. Egypt was the first Arab and African country to establish diplomatic relations with Sri Lanka in 1957, and relations, as His Excellency has further outlined, has been developing since then. President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi has stressed Egypt's keenness to promote relations with Sri Lanka in all domains and in every sense of the word. We do have also economic growth in Sri Lanka and international trade exchange witnessing a boom. So if we are going to say that sky is the limit in our bilateral cooperation, Ambassador.
That's true. You are right, agreed, because air link, if you take the Sri Lankan, then known as Sri Lanka, Ceylon Air, has operated flights since late 40s till 1970s. So that was one of the 10 destinations that then Ceylon Air, today we go as the Sri Lankan Air. The Cairo was one of the destinations the flight was operated. And from that time onwards, so the Sri Lanka was one of the main suppliers of tea to Egypt. And other trade materials, we have cocoa, spices, and then coconut fiber, and many other products we have been supplying. So we have more potential, but we need to explore further on improving the trade between the two countries.
Yes, we are definitely working on that and cooperating to overcome any sort of challenges that has been also presented by COVID-19, because COVID-19 has presented challenges to the whole world. The two countries have been enjoying and pursuing enhanced sense of cooperation on more than one front, Ambassador. And also we've seen the beautiful videos of Sri Lanka that would further enhance the tourism industry as well between both countries. How about that? Explore Egypt, explore Sri Lanka.
We both countries have very attractive tourist destinations. So if I start with Sri Lanka, as you have witnessed, Sri Lanka is a very popular tourism destination. Prior to COVID pandemic, Sri Lanka was ranked as one of the most important destinations for world tourism. So that much interest is there from all over the world. And we do offer so many facilities. So even after COVID-19 pandemic, now we have opened our airports and the tourism industry from 21st of January 2021. So now tourists have started coming, and we have safety measures, and we do have introduced travel while they are in Sri Lanka. So there is no restriction on quarantine requirements. So they can travel for any number of days. So they are being provided with special insurance scheme for COVID with very little premium.
Yes.
So they
We have nice excerpts here of the beautiful scenery and the vibes and the mood from Sri Lanka. We love the greenery as well. Yes.
This is something we find that the Arab travel specifically.
Yes.
They are very keen to travel in the plantation area, hill country.
Yes.
So we do have a lot of
greenery
and the
yes.
beaches, beautiful beaches. We have wildlife.
Beautiful.
And we have UNESCO heritage sites.
Yes. Well, it is definitely a beautiful destination to visit. And we do have with something in common. We could see here also the fish, because we do have here in Egypt the paradise and in Ras Muhammad, and also in Hurghada when you can go snorkeling. And so we do have here the plantations as well, the tea, which is famous, of course,
yes.
in Sri Lanka. Yes. All those are beautiful scenes from a beautiful country, Sri Lanka, that we are really happy to host His Excellency, Ambassador of Sri Lanka, for the first exclusive interview on Egyptian television and Nile TV International tonight. If we would further make some sort of, or let me say, market Sri Lanka to the world today, through Nile TV. You know that it's the heart of the Indian Ocean. We know how beautiful it is, as we can see also the footage. For those who wish to explore Sri Lanka more and know more about it, what would you tell them, Ambassador?
Sri Lanka offers many. It is tourism, for investments,
yes,
and for trade, because Sri Lanka is located in the heart of the Indian Ocean. So Sri Lanka has attracted many businesses, many trade opportunities. So many investors are keen in setting up of their businesses in Sri Lanka, and the environment for business is very good, because the stable government and the policies and also opportunities. So the Board of Investment of Sri Lanka is an institution that is dedicated to serve and facilitate foreign direct investments.
yes.
So Sri Lanka is encouraging and facilitating foreign direct investment in various sectors.
Yes. Talking of the investment climate in Sri Lanka, and what sort of incentives are provided to businessmen today and for people who are willing to do business?
Yes, we do provide tax holidays for foreign investment, foreign direct investments, and also we provide, depending on the size of the investment and also depending on the job opportunities they would be creating, the land opportunities, the land and other facilities are given. We have the industrial estates. So the industrial estates are exclusively provided all infrastructure facilities for setting up of industries.
Yes. Well, on more than one front, we do have the relations going and building momentum. Egypt has always been a very good friend of Sri Lanka in international forum. Well, the vision, if we can say, according to which we are going to expand this sense of strategic partnership in your vision, Ambassador.
Yes, Egypt has been a great friend from the very beginning, since the time of our independence. We have supported Egypt, and Egypt has supported Sri Lanka. I can remember at the time of nationalization of some of the industries, particularly the ports and the oil industry. So Egypt was supportive to us.
Yes.
And then in the UN systems, when we have supported each other for different candidatures, and then even at the Human Rights Council of Human Rights Council in Geneva, and so many areas we have cooperated. And Egypt and Sri Lanka have been pioneers in forming of the NAM, the non-alignment movement.
Yes.
So that is relevant even today. So the neutrality and protecting our sovereignty, and we have to have the independent neutrality in our foreign policy. So I believe that Egypt also is in the same foreign policy directives, and then Sri Lanka. So we can cooperate with each other in the international fora as well.
Yes, definitely, and being good friends also in regards to people relations,
Yes.
because we have seen beautiful footage today from Sri Lanka that would encourage us as Egyptians to go and visit and explore ourselves. Well, I had all the honor of also interviewing Her Excellency, the Chairman of Board of the Tourism Board in Sri Lanka, and she outlined more than one beautiful place, beautiful sightseeing in Sri Lanka. Well, how can we build on that momentum of further encouraging tourists to visit both nations?
I think the Egyptian Air has started operating direct flights. So at the moment, they will start with the cargo flights, and eventually I understand they have a plan to operate commercial flights, passenger flights. So that will be one area, the one facility to improve the traffic between the tourism traffic between the two countries, because the Sri Lankan tourists also visit Egypt. So Egypt is also would be benefiting if these passenger flights between the two countries are operated at the early. And also our tourism industry can collaborate with each other. We can share the information, we can promote jointly, and the promotion we can do in other destinations, that Sri Lanka can promote Egypt and Egypt can promote Sri Lanka. So jointly we can benefit, and this is the one way the Nile TV is supporting us in giving publicity to our destination. So that is also we appreciate. That's a good way, because main thing, the people in Egypt are interested in visiting Sri Lanka, but then some of them are not aware whether the country's tourism industry, the hotels are open or not. So one thing we have to inform that the Sri Lanka Tourism Board has made all the arrangements to facilitate tourist arrivals. So already we have started getting the tourists from various countries. I am sure that the Egyptians who are interested in traveling abroad can take this opportunity and make a visit to Sri Lanka. They would be feeling very comfortable. They will be enjoying the stay, because many airlines now operate from from Cairo to Abu Dhabi, Cairo to Dubai, and the easy connecting flights are there to Colombo.
Yes.
So it's not you have to take 3-4 flights, only one airline from some of the airlines like Etihad and one more airline operating direct flights via Dubai and Abu Dhabi.
Great.
And of course other places will be there.
Great. We are still celebrating Sri Lanka and the 73rd National Day here on Nile TV International. A short break, and we will be back to continue our fruitful discussion with His Excellency tonight on Nile TV. Stay tuned. We've talked the investment climate in Sri Lanka. We've also talked tourism, and how about youth and women empowerment in Sri Lanka? And well, here in Egypt, Egypt is investing in the youth, and President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi is investing in the youth in Egypt, and also we took great strides on the path of women empowerment. How about Sri Lanka?
Sri Lanka is one of the pioneering countries in women empowerment and youth empowerment. You would know the first woman prime minister of the world was from Sri Lanka. Madam Chirimava Bandaranaike became the first prime minister of the world, woman prime minister. That was in 1960.
Yes.
So from other countries produced women prime ministers afterward. So from that time onwards, we can see the women are playing an important role in the social fabric, administration, and the politics. And later, in 1994, we produced the president, the women president, Chandrika Bandaranaike. So she was the daughter of the president, Prime Minister, Madam Sirimau Bandaranaike. So we have, that is only an example.
Yes.
But if you take any sector, nowadays we find more women in the public sector, and they are being recruited through the competitive examinations. They do well. So now, in fact, we don't have to give special quotas because we have empowered them through education. So they have come forward on their own, because there was a time, there was a call that the women empowerment can be given by special quotas. But in Sri Lanka, we find women have come forward and marched forward on their own strength, because the government has done only giving the equal opportunities for them to have the education. So once the education opportunity is given, they have excelled. So that is our success story. When it comes to the youth empowerment, we have given more focus after 1971, we could say, because there were some unrest among the youth. From that time onwards, the government appointed commissions and found that how to address and give more space, more opportunities for them to engage in the social fabric and the governance. So from that time onwards, the National Youth Council of Sri Lanka was established, and through that we are organizing so many programs for their empowerment. So then we do have in Sri Lanka a youth parliament. The youth parliament is giving an opportunity and the training for them to be leaders in the future.
Yeah.
And this is a couple of examples. In addition to that, the youth are entering to parliament, and we have the free education up to university level. So then the youth, once they are given education, they are empowered themselves. They are free, and youth entrepreneurship, something now we find in the recent times, because that is also we are promoting. So the business opportunities, various schemes are being introduced. The banks are giving special loans for them.
Yes.
So through such activities, the youth are empowered, they are being allowed, or they are being given an opportunity to contribute to the national development of the country. So
Yes.
this is how we are doing. We are happy to note the 2030 vision of President Sisi has given more emphasis on women empowerment as well as the youth empowerment. That is an impressive vision document, so that I am sure will give the Egyptian society to march forward in all segments, all sectors of their day-to-day life.
Yes, definitely. And we're talking here in Egypt also going smart and digitized Egypt, keeping
Yes.
pace with this trend throughout the whole world. And I guess Sri Lanka is also keeping pace with the latest up-to-date technology, and with smart cities as well.
Yes. So that is one area our government has identified as for the development of the country. So the IT sector, information technology sector, has already developed in Sri Lanka, because Sri Lanka is offering the BPO services to the various international companies. So a lot of companies operate their back office through Sri Lanka or in Sri Lanka, because we have introduced IT education in early 90s. So now the IT graduates are coming out, and then they are talented and skillful, so we get opportunities for them to be recruited by the overseas companies, and also that help us to get the international investments, because they like to open their offices in Sri Lanka, because they find they can get the skilled IT workers for very reasonable pay scales. So that is two-way helpful. One way is they are getting employment, and also we are getting investment into Sri Lanka, because the investors always look for skilled workforce. So nowadays skilled workforce means the IT savvy workforce is very valuable. So Sri Lanka has that IT savvy workforce at present.
Yes, with Egypt's deep-rooted history and culture spanning back thousands of years ago, and also I know that we do have this sense of cultural attractions also in Sri Lanka, celebrating the different festivals, and on several occasions. We are celebrating the 73rd National Day today. What are the other important holidays in Sri Lanka, Ambassador, celebrated, or festivals that are considered to be a sense of attraction for the country?
Yes, the National Day of Sri Lanka is celebrated by all communities of Sri Lanka. So that is, we have Sinhalese, Tamils, Muslims, these are the major communities, and then we have Malays, Burghers. So all Sri Lanka is a country which diverse cultures. So major religions are represented in Sri Lanka. We have the Buddhism, they have the Hinduism, Islam, and Christian, Catholic. So all major events of these four religions are celebrated in Sri Lanka.
Sense of diversity, yeah.
Yes, diversity. So the New Year, that is celebrated by both Hindus and Buddhists, Sinhala and Tamil New Year, which falls in the April, the month of April, mostly in the middle of April, in the month of April. So that is a national festival, and though it is basically for Sinhalese and Tamils, the Muslims also join. That is the beauty in Sri Lanka. Each other's events are patronized and celebrated by the other communities.
Yes.
Now we celebrate Ramadan. That is because when after the fasting month, so Ramadan festival is a holiday in Sri Lanka and facilitated those who are practicing the religion. So Sri Lanka has so many mosques. So the Muslim population is about 10% of the population. So their festivals are being celebrated. Then we do have Christmas.
Yes.
The Christmas is celebrated, and it comes with the New Year. So that's the festive season in Sri Lanka. So all the festivals of each community, each religion is celebrated with the government support, and government facilitate, and the people all rally with others.
Thank you so much, Your Excellency, for this opportunity, and I congratulate you on behalf of Nile TV International on the 73rd National Day of Sri Lanka. Thank you for giving us this exclusive interview, your first on Egyptian television tonight. I thank you so much. His Excellency Ambassador M.K. Pathmanaathan, Sri Lanka's ambassador to Egypt, was with us for the first time after assuming his mission. I wish you the best of success on this important mission, Ambassador. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you very much for inviting me and giving this opportunity to convey my Independence Day greetings to the Sri Lankans living here and the other part of the world, because your TV has a coverage many countries in the world. So I take this opportunity to convey the Independence Day greetings of the government of Sri Lanka to Sri Lankans living abroad. And I thank the government of Egypt. This morning, the Sri Lankan newspapers have published the greetings sent by President Sisi to the Sri Lankan President Gotabaya Rajapaksa. So he has emphasized that our relations, deep-rooted relations, we have to now go into all areas to strengthen bilateral relations. So with that spirit and good starting, I hope to contribute for the promotion of and strengthening of the relations between Egypt and Sri Lanka during my stay here. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ambassador, and I thank you, dear viewers. I'm Tagreed Hussain. Many thanks for watching.